Hi guys, I'm Kristen and welcome back to my channel. Today it is time to do the mid-year book freakout tag. Now this is a very popular tag, so I don't think that it needs any introduction. I personally had this scheduled to come out next week, but everyone, and I mean everyone on BookTube has been releasing these videos or their book tag last week and the week before. So with the risk of it coming out next week and being completely irrelevant, I decided to jump ahead and get this one out for you today. You'll have to wait for my summer radar reads for next week. Now, just a couple quick housekeeping items before we get started. It was announced just yesterday for me, but last week for you guys, that Sarah from the channel Bright and Bookish is going to be hosting a T. Kingfisher readathon for 10 days at the end of July. So from July 22nd till July 31st, we are going to be reading all things T. Kingfisher. Very straightforward though. Check out their announcement video. I will link it in the description box down below, as well as their Discord where we're planning to talk about the readathon. It's also the same one that we talk about the Memoirs of Lady Trent read along. But anyway, I am going to be team captain for the Gingerbread Army, which is just absolutely amazing. It is a reference to the only T. Kingfisher book that I have read, and that is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. I cannot wait to read so many T. Kingfisher books that week, or as many as I possibly can during those 10 days. But anyway, check out their video, and I'll obviously be talking about this more in other videos moving forward. And the last item, I don't think this will be an issue. I've closed all the windows and doors, but just in case you heard loud honking and cheering in the background at any point in the video, it is graduation season. And where I live, that means that trucks are driving around pulling their graduating class of drunk, partying teenagers from house to house. Yes, this is a thing, look it up. But anyway, if you hear cheering and honks or the doorbell, I think that's unrelated. That's why. Okay, slightly different camera angle. That was important and I had to deal with something. Anyway, here we are. Let's just jump right into it from here. So, first question, best book you've read so far in 2021. This is actually extremely difficult for me because I feel like I haven't really had any new favorite books this year. Like, I've really enjoyed a lot of things that I've read, but nothing that like screams new favorite the way that like at this point last year. I think I'm gonna go with Jade City by Fonda Lee for this one, just because I think like overall my experience was like maybe the closest to like, oh my god, this is amazing. So I gotta go with that feeling. But there's definitely other things I've liked. I don't know. Nothing's really sticking out this year for me so far. It's actually kind of a downer. Question number 2 is best sequel you've read so far this year. And I actually don't have that many sequels that I've read. I've been starting quite a few series. So I think that I'm going to have to go with The Discord of Gods by Jen Lyons. This is the conclusion to the A Chorus of Dragons series. I feel like on its own, that book is not like the most amazing thing ever, but just the fact that it was the conclusion to such a great series, like a new favorite series, I think, perhaps of all time, to be determined. It was a series conclusion and like a sequel, I guess, that really stuck the landing, that tied everything together. All of the characters had like been through all of their stuff, and now it was the kind of their time to execute the finale. That was kind of the feeling. So if I had to pick one sequel, it would probably be The Discord of Gods. Question number 3 is best new release you haven't read yet but want to. I'm assuming this is like something that has come out, so something came out in the first half of the year. There are definitely a lot here that I could go with, like Nettle and Bone, Kai Kai, The Hunger of the Gods, Daughter of the Moon Goddess is another one. Like, there are quite a few new releases that I would like to read that I just haven't had a chance yet, either from library reasons or just haven't been in the right mood for. But I think the one that I'm going to use as the answer for this one, and you can see how I casually got away with naming several by being like, well, I could choose these ones. Anyway, the one that I'm gonna go with is gotta be All the Seas of the World by Guy Gabriel Kay. This is his newest release, came out in May, I believe. I was planning on pre-ordering it, I just didn't because, I don't know, reasons. And I am on hold for a library copy, but because I was planning on buying it, I didn't like jump the gun and get to the front of the line on the library hold list. So my current plan, if the library hold doesn't come through anytime soon, I think I'm just going to buy it when I go home to Canada in August. So that's my plan. So it's something that I would really like to get to, but I do really want to physically own that book, or like I buy all Guy Gabriel Kay books. So that's the plan, just hasn't happened yet. Question number 4 then is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I do have a couple sequels, and actually both of them are series conclusions that are coming out later this year. So Fury Song, coming out on August 9th, is a conclusion to the Aurelian cycle. This is the Fireborn series, like trilogy, and oh man, like I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready to have that experience. Same thing goes for the Golden Enclaves, the final book in the Scholomance series by Naomi Novik, is coming out on September 27th. And again, like I want to read that book so much, but I am afraid to. But the one that I'm gonna go with here is not a sequel, so it's like a new book, and that is going to be Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. This is also coming out on September 27th, and this is Adrienne Young's adult fantasy, magical realism, not sure, debut. I think it's like contemporary. There might be some like hearth magic. I think that's my guess. That's my guess of what magic component is going to be there. And this book takes place on like a fictitious island off the coast of Seattle. And we're following a main character who like had a high school love. Her best friend was murdered at the end of high school, and her boyfriend was suspected, but I don't think charged. But he was suspected to have killed the best friend. And so this is like years later, he shows back up in town. I just know, like I really know that this book is going to be amazing. I think the advanced reviewers have been really loving it. I feel like this book is just going to bring fall vibes and atmosphere. And I also think like it's Adrienne Young, so I trust that I'm gonna get like a satisfying romance component to it. I just know that this book is like going to encapsulate fall for me. Am I setting my expectations up too high? Perhaps, but I trust Adrienne Young to nail what this book is being described as. Question number 5, biggest disappointment. It's gotta be House of Sky and Breath. Come on. And this is coming, I'm not just trashing a Sarah J. Maas book, like I like Sarah J. Maas books. Enjoy them. They're a great time. I really enjoyed House of Earth and Blood. I even got myself like so hyped up for House of Sky and Breath because I reread House of Earth and Blood right before, and like I think I liked it better the second time through than I think I went back and changed my rating on Goodreads, because the first time I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I loved it the second time. And the second book was just like a chaotic mess of plot that did not make sense. She tried to shoehorn new characters in, like new character perspectives in a very not smooth way. And I'm not a fan of the ending. Like I know that the last like paragraph, the last whatever, got a lot of people like hooked and excited. I had the opposite feeling. I did not want to go there. This book was just a huge letdown for what I was so thrilled and like excited for like this adult fantasy series that she was doing, and it just like, yeah, it was just wrong in all of the wrong ways. Question number 6, biggest surprise. Okay, I might come back to this answer tentatively later on, or like, yeah, I'm gonna mention this book again, so I feel bad for using it twice, but absolutely this is the case. My biggest surprise, I think, is going to be 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This is like a contemporary women's fiction / romance book that I read right at the beginning of the year. I think it's been my first and only 5-star book that I've rated so far this year. Why is it not then my favorite, you would ask? I don't have an answer for you. But this book was a lot grittier than I expected. It's a dual perspective, second chance at love. We do get then and now timeline. It is following 2 authors who met for a like window of 7 days, had a very intense 7 days when they were teenagers, and they meet again at a writer event. They're both authors, 15-ish, 11 to 15-ish years later, and it follows this episode like the following 7 days. I love the relationship, the dynamic between the 2 people, even though they had spent so little time together, like 7 days in the past and 7 days currently, which usually would bother me, really didn't, because they were 2 of those people who just like have that instantaneous, so clearly visible, what's that word? Chemistry. They so clearly have this intense chemistry right out of the gate. Every time that they were on page together, it was electric and dynamic. And then on top of that, it had some really interesting like added components. The female lead is a single mom who suffers from daily chronic migraines, and the male character is a recovering alcoholic. So it was just like, it dealt with a lot in such a great execution. Question number 7, favorite new author, and this can be a debut author or new to you. Okay, I was going to use the T. Kingfisher answer that everyone has been using this year, and that's partially true, but I'm going to use the T. Kingfisher book for another question. So what I'm going to say for this one is I'm going to go with Becky Chambers. I read A Song for the Wild Built really early in January, and it was just the right book at the right time for me. I really liked the writing. It was like very simple and straightforward, but done in such like a cohesive and clear way that the tone and the feeling of what was happening in this book really came through for me. It also like really connected with me on like a personal, emotional, this is where my life is at kind of a journey. And it was very hopeful and positive while still acknowledging like not everything is perfect, it's okay. And I do think that I like that like hope punk, like sci-fi, speculative, positive, hopeful subgenre or like subgenre. So I think Becky Chambers has like a pretty solid back catalog in that genre. I know a lot of people really like a small lonely way to a small angry planet, a long way to a small angry planet, something like that. So I would love to get to that book eventually as well. And if you have any other specific Becky Chambers recommendations, put them down below for me. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush. I don't really have one this year. I'm not someone who is like, I don't do fictional crushes. Like, I do fictional crushes for sure, but I don't really have any this year. So what I'm gonna do instead is, when I was watching Beck's video from Beckle Books' channel, she used a pairing that she was like crushing on, like a pairing that she thought was really cute together and that she really enjoyed together. And I love that idea of having it be like that you're crushing on like a couple. So I'm gonna go with the relationship, the couple in the Memoirs of Lady Trent series by Marie Brennan. It is specifically in books like 4 and 5, in the Labyrinth of Drakes and Within the Sanctuary of Wings. So I can't say any more because it is a spoiler of who this person is, but the relationship there, I just like really enjoy it. They are really sweet, and it's not like a romantic book at all. It's not the focus of the book, so you only really get like small little snippets, but they have like this really great mutual respect dynamic from a place of like their two separate passions, and they're really respectful and like really supportive of each other and of each other's passions, and like they have like such a significant understanding of each other because of that. So absolutely, that is like my couple crush this year, which is what I'm gonna go for. Question number 9 is newest favorite character. I hate this question. I'm not good at favorite characters. Okay, I just had to look through all of the books that I've read, and not a ton of the characters are standing out as like all-time new favorites. So what I think what I'm gonna do is go with Vanya from the book Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. And I think that Vanya just had a really great character journey over the course of that book. I liked that she was one of those kind of unlikable characters, but we did spend a pretty significant amount of time kind of delving into why she is the way that she is. When authors take the time to do that, like to really make it clear how their events of their childhood, of the past, their traumatic experiences, how all of that has shaped them into who they are today. And specifically, like we can see, yes, it makes sense that she does these things because this has been what's happened to her in the past. So I like when characters are really thought out and feel very real because of that. I do like also that even though Vanya had a lot of character growth over the course of the journey, she didn't become a totally new person. She wasn't suddenly perfect, morally upright, everything is perfect, sunshines and rainbows kind of a character, but she made positive growth and remained who she still was at heart. And this one isn't really new to me, but like I started rereading the Farseer series this year, and I do really like Fitz. Fitz is flawed. Fitz is absolutely flawed, but again, Hobb explores all of his flaws in a very genuine way. And I think there is even more to come of like looking back why he is the way that he is. I think like I suspect that there are going to be more reveals that explain things. He's someone who is like really smart and really charismatic and so good about like political maneuverings, but his interpersonal relationships and growths are so messy because of his experiences, because of the way that he is. And so I like that we have this contrast between him being very good at some things. Like, he's not a great assassin by any means, but we all know that he was really good at like the behind the scenes scheming and turning things out, like in the non-killing things that he did. So he was really good at that. But on the other hand, he was like actually really bad at his own relationships. So I like Fists because of that. Okay. Question number 10, a book that made you cry. I think there have been a couple. I did cry absolutely during A Song for the Wild Built, but I think the one I'm going to go with here is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. This is like a swashbuckling good time with like fun gadgets and a small group of good guys trying to come up against like very evil baddies, but like against insurmountable odds or seemingly insurmountable odds. And I really enjoyed the book. I listened to the audio narration who did, I think they did an amazing job. But specifically, there's a situation with like a past king that is passed away. So you know that right out of the gate that the king that they used to work for has died. But you get like these memory or flashbacks with Falkio and his interactions with that king. And they were so emotional that as things progressed in the past timeline, it really got me caught up. So there was some specific like memory flashback things that happened outside of with the king as well. There was another one as well, I think, that got me teary-eyed. But the flashbacks definitely made me cry with like certain deaths and certain situations. And even the ending where it was like a reveal happened towards the end. Yeah, I think I was pretty teary-eyed. Like, I don't know if sobbing is quite the right word, but it was emotional. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy. This is where I'm going to use my T. Kingfisher book, and I'm going to go with A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. This is I think, YA book about a 14-year-old girl with baking magic who, for reasons, has to save the city using her baking magic. There's like a little bit of a like murder situation. The opening scene is her discovering a dead body, so it's like dark a little bit. But even though there are dark things discussed, like this murder right out of the gate and some other stuff that happens with like why Mona has to be the one to save her city, like why she as a 14-year-old is put in this situation, like definitely there's some stuff there. But the overall tone actually was really lighthearted and with like this like dark, quirky, fun humor. There was like a gingerbread companion, and there was a carnivorous sourdough starter named Bob, and so many really nice little cozy one-liner quips about like humorous things or like cozy stuff about food. And like baking. It was just adorable, and it made me just have like this like warm, cozy, like how you would feel if you were baking. Like that's how I felt the whole time that I was reading it, and just like with a huge smile on my face. Question number 12, favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year? I don't know that I have watched any book to film adaptations other than Heartstopper, which I haven't even read the original graphic novels. I have not read them, but I had heard so much about Heartstopper that I had to watch the show, which I just did recently, and oh my gosh, was that the cutest. I've heard that it's like pretty accurate or like pretty true to the book or to the graphic novels, and specifically with like tone and feel, and everyone's raving about the actors that they chose for, I always forget their names, Charlie and Harry? Anyway, I did really like it. I thought it was so cute. It was like a perpetual like, aww, throughout the whole watching experience. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting that I watched at least partially the Wheel of Time series, but like I think Heartstopper beats that though. Okay, question number 13. Favorite video you have done so far this year? Oh, I forgot that was a question. All right, give me a minute. Oh, okay, I just found one. So I did a book recommendation video that was yoga poses, but as books, where I took like the feel and vibe or like sensation of a yoga pose, and I matched that up with a book recommendation, which I had actually been like planning that video for so long that then when I actually made it, it was just like, I really enjoyed making it. I had a lot of fun. I think that it turned out okay. Like I think it turned out well. But yeah, I think that's my favorite video of the year so far. So if you haven't already watched that video, please check it out. But I also put a lot of work into other videos like my Where to Start with Julia Marilia video, which was a video that I had been like always telling you guys that I was going to give you, and I finally went through and made it. And another video that I did that actually just had like a lot of collaboration involved, which is always really nice, was a recommendation video that I did for the Assassin's Readathon that I did in April. So with that, it wasn't recommendations that I was necessarily making. I got like people to recommend their Assassin books and I put them all together in a video. So that was really fun just because it was so many books that other people had recommended to me that I was able to then like compile and share with all of you guys. So I really liked making that one as well. Okay, question number 14 is the most beautiful book that you've bought or received this year. Okay, so I don't really buy that many books. In fact, I've only bought physically one book this year so far, and that is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Matar and Max Gladstone. So this kind of wins by default, I guess. I do have another answer for you. I do really like this cover, actually. It's got like this really beautiful satiny feel to it. And I have actually always really liked this cover, especially because of like what's on it and the content with like red and blue, the main characters. And yeah, I do really like this cover. But because I'm always like a not physical book buyer, I'm gonna go with the prettiest book that I've read, and for that, this is the second time that I'm going to use 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Oh, I love it. Just like the color blocking, it's like so intense, it's emotional, it's like a little bit dramatic. Like I feel like this is like vibes, especially with what the book contains. And then question number 15, our last question for the tag, is what are some books that you need to finish by the end of the year? I do have some of my priority series books still on the go or still unread. So there are actually, I guess, a handful of those. So Malice by John Gwynne, which I'm going to be reading as a buddy read with a bunch of the people that I do the Memoirs of Lady Trent read along. We're going to be buddy reading this together in July. So that's coming up soon. I also have to get to the 5th season. I think I will also be reading like in the summer. The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch and The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. So those are all of my like remaining priority series starts. So I am supposed to be reading each of those 4 books. Also on the priority series are like all of the ones in the realm of the Elderling. So just however far I get to, which probably will include the first book in the Rainwilds Quartet, but probably not the final trilogy in the series. I think that's fits in the Fool. So all of those books I have like actively signed up, or at least I have challenged myself to read by the end of the year. So I'm just gonna stick with those ones that I've already mentioned. Like I do have some other commitments and some other books that I'd like to read, but these are like my priority series starts for the year. So, okay, and with that, we are done the mid-year book freakout tag for the year. You know, insert, oh my God, it's been half of a year already. How could that possibly be? And absolutely, I feel that way. I'm not gonna tag anyone outright, but if you have a channel and you've done this tag, actually just let me know down below. I would love to come watch. If you have a different book social media, let me know down below if you do like a version of this on your blog or on Bookstagram. I don't have TikTok, so I will probably not access that one. But anyway, let me know if you have done this or a variation of this, or even if you just want to pick a couple answers and put those in the comments down below. I'd love to hear how the first half of this year has been for you guys. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.